veneration of the deceased to the god of the dead, Osiris. Now the lid is decorated with figures and text surmounted by the hieroglyphic symbol for sky.
Let's go.
Below which is placed a winged scarab.
Why aren't you kids in class?
This place is boring, man. We're out of here.
Boring?
Yeah, it's full of junk.
Junk? Junk? Why, some of the greatest adventures of my life are sitting in this museum.
Maybe it's cool for you, dude, but we think it stinks.
Hold on, or I'll clobber you.
Be cool, man. Be cool.
You from the city? Me, I'm from just across the river.
Big deal.
Come on over here. Maybe you'll learn something. Now, what was it I was talking about?
Huh?
You heard me. What was I saying just now?
Something about...
Yes. How I was born across the river in New Jersey. That's right. July the 1st, 1899. I guess that sounds a hell of a long time ago to you, huh? But let me tell you something. To me, it seems only the twinkling of an eye. I was raised in Princeton, where my father was professor of medieval studies. He was a very smart man. My mother adored him. She was the sweetest, smartest, most wonderful woman who ever lived. I can't say I was crazy about school either. I guess I thought I already knew everything. And I preferred having fun with my dog, Indiana. Playing baseball. Or maybe learning about other things. Like how to get to the moon. How to break the land speed record. Or how this mysterious thing called electricity works. Then one day something wonderful happened. My dad was invited to visit all these different schools and universities around the world. He wrote some important books, you see. So he was going to make this great trip, and we were going with him. The trip was going to take on close to 2 whole years. We boarded a giant steamship and sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. Our first stop was England, where we visited London, and then went on to Oxford, where my father had gone to university. He said he had a surprise for me. Some surprise. You think your teacher is tough? Let me tell you, she's a pussycat compared with Miss Helen Seymour, tutor supreme.
Stand up straight, Henry, dear.
Young man, how old are you?
9.
And are you anxious to learn?
Depends.
Depends? Depends? On what?
On what's being taught.
You may go. I'm sorry, it's impossible. He's far too young. Your son needs a governess. I'm not a governess. I am a teacher.
You're the best there is. That's why he needs you.
Dear Professor Jones, he is a child. And I'm used to teaching young gentlemen twice his age. It's quite out of the question.
I hate her. She's a witch.
Shh. Darling, listen. Miss Seymour is very highly regarded in academic circles. She tutored your father when he was at Oxford. He thinks a great deal of her.
Then let him go with her and we can go back home.
Which seemed pretty much like the end of it, or so I thought. Only, like I said, my father was a very smart man.
I know how much you've always wanted to travel. It's the chance of a lifetime. Don't say you're going to turn your back on it.
I'm sorry, Professor Jones, but I won't go a single mile with that boy.
Not even to see the Great Wall of China? The gardens of Kyoto? The Taj Mahal by moonlight? Sunset over the pyramids?
It took 9 days to sail across the Mediterranean Sea. I guess my mother and father had quite a good time on the voyage. I didn't get to see too much of it, though. Miss Seymour didn't let up on me for one bit of a minute. I'll say this for that woman. She was one tough old bird.
Oh, my goodness.
Heavy weather, Captain.
Bit lively, Bishop. Hope it's not spoiling your enjoyment of the voyage.
No, not at all. We British are a hardy island breed, what?
Well, young fellow, and how are your studies progressing?
I learned about mummies, sir.
Mummies?
Yes, sir. About how the ancient Egyptians turned people into mummies when they died.
Really? How did they go about that?
Well, first they scooped out the brain. They took it out through the nose. Of course, they had to break it first. Here, they used a metal hook and kind of teased it out. Excuse me. They took a stone knife, cut open the left side of the corpse, reached in, pulled out all the lower organs. They put them in 4 separate jars. One for the liver, one for the lungs, one for the stomach, and one for the intestines. They tied on the toenails and the fingernails with string so they wouldn't fall off. They plugged up the nose and, stuck little bits of cloth under the eyelids. And this is really interesting. Sometimes they used little onions instead. That completed the first stage, sir, the embalming. Then they had to wrap the whole body in bandages. Didn't always work, though. Most often, the mummies leaked.
I believe that I'm wanted on the bridge.
That was an interesting speech, Junior.
Thank you, Father.
Now, eat your tripe.
We landed at Alexandria and then made our way up the Nile River to the ancient city of Cairo. I had never seen anything like it. Everything was so wonderful, strange, and exotic. As soon as we had settled in, my father started his lectures at Cairo University. Mother was busy helping him out on the social side with afternoon teas and things. So I was left to the tender mercies of the wicked witch. From time to time, I was able to explore things on my own. But for the most part, the goddess of knowledge kept my nose stuck in a book.
Have you finished?
Almost.
Good. Well, when you've done, we'll take an expedition out to see the monuments.
You mean the pyramids?
Yes, and the great mysterious Sphinx.
Oh, boy.
The great Egyptian Sphinx was built around 2500 BC.
Wow.
Now, why don't we have a real adventure, And climb one of those pyramids.
Why did you only give him 10 piastres?
10 piastres are entirely sufficient for his services, Mr. Jones.
But he wanted 30.
These people expect to barter. It is part of their nature. You will see, by the time we get down, he will be perfectly content.
I don't know, Miss Seymour. He's pretty mad to me.
Nonsense, Mr. Jones. Now, when was that pyramid built?
Over 4,000 years old. By King Cheops. It's one of the largest constructions ever made by man. And one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Very good.
Why can't we climb to the top of the biggest pyramid?
I should be more than happy to get to the top of this one, Mr. Jones. Now, let's get on.
Jeez, Miss Seymour. That's doing great to be a pharaoh. Look, Miss Seymour!
Oh, my goodness. He's taking our camels.
Hey, wait!
Wait! Wait! Come back!
Hey, wait!
Wait!
Wait a minute! Come back!
Wait!
Come back! Wait a minute! Come back! Come back with our camels! Wait a minute! Guess he wasn't too content after all.
What on earth shall we do?
I don't know, Miss Seymour. Do we have to walk?
It's much too far. Besides, it will be dark soon.
What if we're attacked by bandits?
Oh, nonsense.
Or tomb robbers? They're supposed to be real scary.
Henry, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of.
Look!
Someone's coming. Hurrah, we're saved.
But what if it's a tomb robber?
Hello, Miss Seymour.
Mr. Lawrence. What in heaven's name are you doing here?
I've been up in Syria looking at the Crusader castles, and I thought I'd take in a bit of Egypt before going home. Hello.
Hi.
Mr. Henry Jones, Jr. of Princeton, New Jersey. Mr. T.E. Lawrence of Jesus College, Oxford.
How do you do, Mr. Lawrence?
Awfully well, thank you. And please call me Ned. I say, you're not related to Professor Henry Jones by any chance?
He's my dad.
I've read his books, they're brilliant. What happened?
We had a slight altercation with our guide.
Yeah, he ran off with the camels.
Yes, they do that sometimes.
Yes, but what on earth shall we do?
Well, I'd say gather up some camel dung and make jolly sure we don't catch cold. Time stands still. It has no meaning. When you open a tomb, you let in the light. The first light that place has seen for 3,000 or 4,000 years. Your feet are the first to tread that floor since the feet of the men who made it. You may even see their footsteps going before you in the dust. You are breathing the same air as the men who laid the mummy to rest.
Wow. Sounds great. I'd like to be an archaeologist.
Maybe you'll add a new page to history. Or discover a treasure beyond price.
And get rich.
No, Henry. The archaeologists don't get rich. Archaeology doesn't steal from the past. It opens it, so that everyone may learn from its treasures.
But why did they have all that stuff in the tomb with them? They didn't need it. They were dead.
Yes, but they believed that their spirit continued to live in the tomb and come alive again.
Really?
Really?
Is it true?
No, Henry, it is not true. But it is what many of the ancient Egyptians believed.
Then what does happen when you die?
You know very well.
You mean if you're good, your soul goes to heaven? With all the angels and stuff?
Precisely.
That's the Christian belief. Other people have different answers.
Like what?
Well, a good Muslim will go to paradise, which according to the Prophet Muhammad is a delightful place, especially if you're a man. A Hindu believes in reincarnation.
Reincarnation, what's that?
It means that when the body dies, the soul reappears in another body and lives again. And then it moves on again, and so on and so on.
The same soul?
Yes.
But in different bodies?
Yes. Where do we come from? Where do we go? It's one of the truly great mysteries, and the spark of most great religions. So, nearly all of them have an answer to what happens when we die.
Which one is true?
No one's come back to tell us.
Mr. Lawrence.
Oh, but Henry, if you should meet a mummy one night, you can always ask him.
Meet a mummy? And ask him?
Yes. When his spirit returns at sunset and enters his shriveled body. When he rises slowly from his dusty coffin and creeps out into the darkness. When he glides across the empty desert where nothing is heard but the cry of the jackal. And the shuffle of his bony feet across the sand. Shuffle, shuffle. Shuffle, shuffle.
Wow.
Mr. Lawrence.
Then, if you should chance to meet him, it may be he will answer your question. Oh, but only if you return with him to his tomb.
Mr. Lawrence, it's time we went to sleep.
Oh, by the way, I'm going upriver tomorrow near the Valley of the Kings. A friend of mine is working on a dig with Howard Carter. Would you like to come?
Can we, Miss Seymour?
May we?
May we?
Your father will have to give his permission.
He will. I know he will. May we, Father? May we? Please?
Use it as a journal or diary. Write down anything that interests or strikes you.
Thank you, Father.
And don't neglect your studies, Junior.
No, sir.
Whoopee!
It's wonderful.
تقرأ ايه يا ولدي؟
wants to know what it is you're reading.
It's a book about Napoleon. She says I have to read it.
They're wise people, you see. They prize knowledge above all things. Assalamu alaikum, ya boy.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yashgar inta yashgar.
Henry, wherever you go, and whatever countries you visit, learn the language. It's the key that unlocks everything, the most important thing of all.
Dear Ned, how positive delightful to see you.
May I introduce Miss Helen Seymour and Mr. Henry Jones, Jr. This is my dear friend Rashid Salam.
Delightful. Delightful. Welcome to you both. Ned, you're in luck. You've discovered a new tomb.
A pharaoh?
No, not a pharaoh, I'm afraid. Still, everything is important, as Mr. Carter always says.
Will we get to see inside of it?
Well, I do hope so, Mr. Jones.
That would be great.
Gally! Why are those men sitting idle?
They are afraid.
Afraid? Afraid of what?
They say there is a curse on the tomb.
A curse? To make people die?
Now you know there's no such thing as a curse.
That's what the men are saying.
Come back to work at once. At once, Mr. Gally.
But there could be a curse, couldn't there?
Well, of course not.
يلا يلا ارجعوا يلا تعالوا يلا.
Demetrios is going to blow up the rock. It'll make a lovely explosion and clear the road to the camp. All clear, Demetrios!
Pierre, make sure you get some pictures of these seals.
Very good, Mr. Carter.
We found these last month. Pottery, linen, and these clay seals, all 18th dynasty. This one bears the name of the king, Tutankhamun.
Ah, the boy pharaoh, Mr. Carter.
How old was he?
About your age, when he became a pharaoh.
Do you think his tomb still exists?
I'm certain of it, Mr. Lawrence, and I believe we shall find it, with hard work and a great deal of luck. I have an almost superstitious conviction about it. Not very scientific, I'm afraid.
And the tomb you found yesterday, Mr. Carter?
Also 18th dynasty, but alas, not the king's. His name was Ka.
Ka?
He seems to have been some kind of architect or engineer. We may know more when we open up his tomb.
Will you be the first ones inside of it?
Yes. Would you like to come along?
Jeepers creepers. Thanks.
The workers won't go in because of the curse.
Superstition, Mr. Gally. It's only superstition.
Everywhere. It's the curse.
We must be very careful in here. Some of these tombs tombs are airtight. When the artifacts that are left behind begin to decompose, they create poisonous gases. In the royal tombs, there are many traps to discourage grave robbers. But since Carr was only an architect, I doubt that we're in much danger. He that enters my tomb, I shall burn with my fire.
It's the curse. Shh.
Rashid, break the seals. Completely scorched. Good Lord. Someone's been here before us.
Tomb robbers.
Oh, the curse.
Well, there's only one way to find out. That is Carr.
Holy smokes.
Extraordinary.
Why are there no artifacts? Maybe they were stolen?
I don't think so. The door seals were intact. There must be another chamber.
Over here.
Open it up. Careful, it's a sealed room, remember? Poison gas! Everybody out! Quick!
All safe. We'll go back in the morning. The air will be clear by then. Put a guard on tonight, Rashid. Someone you can trust.
I'll guard the tomb myself, sir.
Good. Better draw a gun from the armory, just in case.
Can I stay and guard with you tonight?
That's very brave of you, Mr. Jones. But I'll be all right.
Come on.
Oh, wow. The mummy's gone. Climbed out of its coffin. Got Rashid.
Calm down and don't be silly.
Rashid. No, Henry, keep away.
Poor Rashid. What a dreadful way.
The fire didn't kill him. There's a head wound here.
Someone attacked him.
He didn't even have time to draw his gun.
We'll have to take him to Cairo. There's bound to be an inquiry. I'll go myself this afternoon.
Hello?
What?
Some kind of silver powder. His leg's covered with it.
No one's been here. Nothing's touched.
Doesn't make sense. There doesn't seem to be a motive.
Yes, there is. He that enters my tomb, I shall burn with my fire.
Henry.
It's the curse.
I mean, there's no motive for his death. I can't see any reason. God, it seems so pointless.
Thou knowst 'tis common. All that lives must die, passing through nature to eternity.
He was my friend. I shall miss him dreadfully.
You'll see him again, won't you?
See him again.
In heaven. After you die. If God let him go, after he rose from his coffin. After he killed Rashid.
Listen, Henry. When I told you all those things about mummies coming alive again and walking the earth, well, I'm afraid I must have
Told lies?
exaggerated. I can't seem to help it. It's something I do.
Why?
I'm not sure. But I often tell stories. You know, make things up. To make life seem more exciting, more worthwhile.
There's got to be a motive.
Do we have to do this tonight?
Don't be frightened.
I want to thoroughly check the room before anybody else gets in here.
Shall we wait for Mr. Carter to get back?
No, don't worry. Don't disturb anything. Well, Henry, this is what Carl really looked like.
He's beautiful.
I was beloved of the Pharaoh. As a reward for my great service, he gave me the precious headpiece. That must be the one he's wearing, Henry. Of the sacred jackal with the eyes of fire.
Can't be.
What?
Can't be the headpiece he's wearing. There's no jackal with eyes of fire.
You're right. Wait a minute, though. Something was here. It's been broken off. Stolen. At last, we've got a motive. That's probably what it looked like.
What did it mean, eyes of fire?
The Jackal's eyes were precious stones.
That's why it was stolen, and poor Rashid killed.
Well, I still don't understand why the mummy disappeared. A native wouldn't do it. It would be sacrilege.
Then who? One of the assistants? Pierre?
Or someone with a foot in both worlds. Who knew the power of the curse, yet didn't himself believe it. Who needed money and hated Rashid.
Mr. Golly, Ned. Are you gonna arrest him?
We haven't got enough proof yet. We need hard evidence. Ah. I've forgotten all about it. What a fool I am.
What is it?
The powder I found on Rashid's body. Photographer's splash powder. Pierre. I need your help, old lad. I'm going to search Pierre's tent.
Pierre will kill you.
He's not there. He's over there, see? Keep your eyes skinned. If he moves, come quick and tell me.
Holy smokes.
Play up and play the game, eh?
Trust me, Ned.
Henry? Miss Seymour. Have you seen Henry?
I know. What's the matter?
Quick, the tomb.
What?
Then what are you doing here?
I was taking some photographs to sell to the newspapers.
Newspapers?
there is much money to be made from such a story. A man must live.
There was magnesium powder found on Rashid's body.
But I am not the only person in the camp who uses magnesium powder. Look.
Demetrius.
Look, magnesium for making flares.
He will be at port side by now, ready to go board a ship.
Not if I have anything to do with it.
He rode like the wind. The hand of God was upon him. Don't forget me, he cried, as if I ever would. The man was a hero, even then.
Then what happened?
Huh?
Did he catch the killer?
When he got to the pier, the steamship had gone by 5 minutes, and Demetrius with it.
So the bad guys got away?
Not exactly.
So what did you do?
Me? I went back to Cairo with Miss Seymour. We joined up with my parents and continued our trip.
Is that all?
Of course not.
So what about the Jackel?
The Jackel? What Jackel?
The one with the eyes of fire. Did it ever turn up?
Yes. The Jackel with the eyes of fire. Well, that's another story.
Oh, come on, mister. We gotta know what happened.
Oh, wouldn't you?
Hey, man, we gotta. Come on, mister, please.
Yeah. All right, but I've got to get home soon. Got to feed my cat, Henry. Very demanding creature, Henry. Makes my life hell sometimes. Okay, let's go. 8 years later, I was in Mexico.
What does Mexico have to do with it?
Listen, kid, who's telling this story, you or me?
You, sir.
Damn right, so shut up and listen. Now, where was I?
In Mexico.
I recall. It was spring break, and I was in Santa Fe visiting my cousin, Frank. The weekend before I was to return to New Jersey, we decided to hitch down to the border to have a little fun. You know, with the senoritas.
Come on, kid.
Little did I realize that the desperate financial needs of the revolutionaries in Mexico would lead me back to the Jackel and change my life forever. I was only 16 years old. I think my cousin Frank was a little older. yeah, now I recall. Frank was definitely a little older than me.
Here, take this. Thanks, mister. Don't get in trouble now.
Howdy. Howdy. What are you boys doing around here looking lost, huh?
Sir?
Your mama's gonna heat your fannies for sure.
Is there, someplace we can get something to eat?
Well, there's the Busy Bee coffee shop. Usually opens up around 6.
What time's the border open?
Well, you boys looking for a little action, huh?
We sure are. Know any good hot spots, sir?
Hot spots. Well, let's see. There's the Copa Caliente. There's the Cuero de Oro. Maxie's. No, I think you boys better stay away from old Maxie.
Why?
They serve their chilies real hot.
Thanks, soldier.
You boys steer clear of old Maxie's, you hear? He's liable to give you anything.
que tengo que tomar el tren a Nueva Jersey. I have to be in high school in a couple of days.
¡Cállate la boca!
¡Ay, qué susto! ¡Ay, qué susto! ¡Ay, no! ¡Ay, madre! ¡Ay, mi madre! ¡No! ¡Ay, ay! ¡Ay, qué susto! ¡Ay, no, que no quiero! ¡Ay, que no quiero, mamá! ¡Ay, no! ¡No! ¡No, no tocarme! ¡Ay, no! ¡Ay, mami! ¡Ay, no! ¡Vamos! ¡Ay, qué susto!
No me oyeron. Voy a perder clases.
Gringo, en unos minutos más vas a perder mucho más que las clases.
Estoy casado, tengo niños. ¡Ay, no me maten, por favor! ¡Ay, no!
If I don't get home, my father's gonna kill me.
¡Ay, no! ¡Ay, no! ¡Ay, no! ¡Ay, no! ¡Deténganse! ¡Deténganse! ¡Be careful!
Estoy harto. Creí que éramos hombres, no asesinos. Soldados y héroes. Ahora quieren ver correr más sangre. Me da vergüenza. Sí, señores, me da vergüenza. Y ustedes bajen esas armas. Que bajen esas armas, digo. O si no, mátenme también a mí. ¡Ándale, mátenme! ¡Ustedes que ven, lárguense!
¿Quién es ese?
Este es el general Francisco Villa.
¿Ese es Pancho Villa?
Sí, tuviste suerte. Hoy se debe estar sintiendo sentimental.
J'ai eu de la chance, mon ami.
Vous êtes français?
Vous parlez français? Formidable. Remy Baudouin. But I'm Belgian, not French.
Belgian?
José González, from Ciudad Guerrero.
Indiana Jones from Princeton, New Jersey.
What's happening in Europe? Is the war over?
Germans still hold most of Belgium.
Bastards.
Cruzado la frontera con su ejército. El general Pershing está aquí.
¡Vámonos, muchachos! ¡Agárrense, muchachos, los caballos! ¡Móntense! What was that all about?
God, your Spanish is terrible, huh?
Your French is worse.
She said General Pershing is coming after us. I will get the horses.
Amárralo y tráetelo. Si se mueve, fusílalo. Mon ami, I regret deeply.
What are you doing?
If you have some last request.
You out of your mind?
I know, I'm carrying out the general's orders.
He didn't say to kill me.
Ties the kid up and shoot him. It's very weird.
If he makes a move, shoot him is what he said.
Didn't.
Did.
Didn't.
Did.
Je suis désolé, my friend. I'm sorry, but c'est la guerre.
What the hell are you doing, eh? Did you hear the general? Put him on the wagon and bring him with us.
The minute I saw you, I knew you well like a kid.
Pershing. Son varios miles por lo menos.
high school.
General Pershing, sir. Villa's columns are 40 miles to the south.
Guesses he'll circle east, head for the mountains. One thing's for sure. He'll stay clear of Ciudad Guerrero. President Carranza's got a whole army there. I'm gonna teach Villa what it means to invade the United States. I'm gonna whip his ass.
Eso es por la dinamita. Y eso, la mitad por la munición. ¿Cuándo podemos recogerla?
Por la mañana, mande a unos hombres a mi casa.
Ah. Y también necesito rifles y pistolas.
Eso le va a costar, General Villa. Yo creo que como unos 10,000.
$1,000 por adelantado. Y el resto te lo pago cuando tú me entregues a mí lo que te he pedido. ¿Que algo te molesta, Claw?
Usted no tiene esa cantidad de dinero, mi general. ¿Cómo sé que va a poder pagar?
Porque te doy mi palabra.
Tendrá las armas en 3 semanas.
En 2 semanas.
Es un placer hacer negocios con usted, mi general. Por la mañana.
¿Dónde vamos a encontrar tan grande cantidad de dinero?
En Ciudad Guerrero.
¿Ciudad Guerrero?
Los federales han mandado un pago. 50,000 pesos en puro oro.
Pero, mi general, Ciudad Guerrero es una fortaleza con muros anchos y muchos soldados. ¿Nada puede entrar ahí?
Sí entra el tren.
¿Qué?
Que sí entra el tren, te digo. Vamos a poner un vagón lleno de explosivos al frente. Luego lo vamos a desviar a esta lateral. Y de ahí hasta la pared. Por ahí no nos esperan. Los tomaremos de sorpresa. Muy buena idea, ¿no?
Cuidado con eso. Si quieren explotar, háganlo en otra parte. IMSI.
¿Imshi? ¿Qué es eso? Imshi es una palabra árabe. Quiere decir rápido. ¿Ha estado en Egipto? What I can't figure is how you got here. I mean, what's a Belgian doing riding with General Villa?
I was a sailor, but I hated the sea. One day we tied up at Veracruz. I jumped ship. Then I met Lupe. She was very beautiful. I adored her. We had a little cantina. We were very happy. But the Federalists came. They destroyed our cantina. And then they killed my Lupe. And voila, I joined the revolution.
For revenge?
For that and for other reasons.
What are you fighting for?
Our children starve. When we get sick, we have nowhere to go. El Presidente Carranza and his rich friends have taken everything from us. We are slaves in our own land. They've sold off half of our country to you gringos. ¿Qué otra cosa podemos hacer más que pelear? Pelear por justicia. Esta es nuestra revolución.
Cabo, cabo, muchacho. ¿Ven esto? Por eso estamos luchando. Para el derecho del hombre. Que sea dueño de un poquito. Para que pueda sembrar, cosechar. Y le dé de comer a sus hijos. Esta Es nuestra revolución. Un miserable puño de tierra. Vete a tu casa, muchacho. Aquí no te necesitamos. Vete a tu país, gordo y rico. Vive tu vida, gorda y rica. Vete a tu casa, muchacho. ¿Me oyes? Vete a tu casa. Te dejo libre.
Genoveva. No me quiero ir. Quiero unirme a ustedes. Quiero luchar por la revolución.
Ah, qué muchacho chihuahua, hombre. Oye, Burciaga. Dale un trabajo a este muchacho.
Your first job tomorrow will be to pick up the weapons at Close House.
That's the last one.
10,000 pistolas con todas sus municiones. 10,000 pistolas con todas sus municiones. Y sobre todo la dinamita. 2 semanas nada más. 2 semanas nada más. Si no está, te cuento después.
Demetrius.
Vámonos, gringo.
Hey, Demetrius.
I found him, Ned. Found the man who killed Rashid. I found him at last.
How it all started was I planned a visit to the border, the sole object of which was to enlarge my education. I feel confident you would have approved. However, as Rabbi Burns so aptly said, and as you so often quote him, the best laid schemes o' mice and men. You're right, it stinks. How about, Dear Dad, I've joined the Mexican Revolution. Sorry about high school. Take care of Indiana for me, your son, Henry.
Much better.
How much longer do we have to sit here?
Till we get news of the train.
I hate trains. What's so important about this one?
We're gonna take this one because it's the key to Ciudad Guerrero.
Are you crazy? That place is full of federales. We get our asses shut off.
Tequila.
God bless the United States of America, and death to all our enemies. Including that low-down greaser, Pancho Villa.
That guy's nuts.
Americans.
Lieutenant Patton reporting, sir.
Looks like you ran into a little trouble on your scouting mission, Lieutenant.
Nothing I couldn't handle.
Better watch out for young George Patton, gentlemen. I'd say he's going places fast.
I got these guys at a cantina near the railroad. I'm not so sure if he is headed for the mountains.
Good thinking, Lieutenant. I agree. In fact, I hear he's headed for Ciudad Guerrero.
No prendas la mecha hasta que estés arriba del muro. Pero, mi general, la vía no llega sufficientemente cerca del muro.
Don't worry. Ciudad Guerrero is my hometown. I grew up there. Look, there's a spur line, runs right up to the wall. I will switch the tracks, and you go crashing right into it.
Cuando derribemos nosotros el muro, la ciudad será nuestra. Sí, mi general. Ahora, muchachos, rápido. Órale, vámonos.
Indy, you know how to use that?
Did you ever kill a man, Indy?
Indy. Vamos a Ciudad Guerrero. ¡Dígame!
There is only one rule, Indiana. Stay alive.
Volveré. Te prometo que volveré. Sorry. I didn't mean it. Are you hurt?
Come on, Indiana.
Thank goodness. Never find him in the dark. You ain't gonna find him. They just up and disappeared.
Easy, my friend.
Hold tight. You'll be okay.
¡Odio sus bárbaros del norte! Woodrow Wilson es peor que Carranza. Carranza le está dando a México a él. Vamos a ver sus pinches gringos donde más les duela. Mañana atacamos la hacienda de William Randall Hearst.
Pues mi general, tendremos una guerra en los Estados Unidos.
Precisamente es lo que queremos. Para que atrapen a Carranza en el medio. Bueno, muchachos, ahí la tienen, la hacienda del señor Hearst. ¡Viva México! Indian, are you sick?
Not sick exactly. I just don't think this is my revolution.
Moi non plus, c'est pas ma révolution.
I'm a gringo. Si muero en batalla, mi último recuerdo será de ti. Adiós. Adiós, mi amor. Vaya con Dios, mi amor. Vaya con Dios. Fin.
¡Hey, tú! ¡Pon la próxima, rápido!
Sí.
Okay, noticias internacionales. Marzo 1216. Dos años de tremendo conflicto, las naciones de Europa todavía enlazadas en batalla a muerte. En Francia, la armada alemana destroza Verdun. Tropas de Estados Unidos visitan de cortesía a Canadá. El general dice que Pancho Villa es un gran hombre.
Sí, mi general.
Me vale.
Sí. Sí, mi general.
No, por favor, no, mis gallinas.
Diego, no podemos dejarlo en el estómago vacío.
Lo siento.
De veras lo sientes, gringo. Siempre lo mismo. En una revolución la que sufre es la gente.
Pero luchamos por usted. El general Villa dice...
El general Villa. Indy. Escucha. Hace muchos años cabalgué con Juárez en contra del emperador Maximiliano. En esa época perdí muchas gallinas, pero yo creí que valía la pena ser libre. Cuando don Porfirio subió a presidente, lo apoyé, pero se llevó las gallinas. Vino Huerta y se llevó las gallinas. Le tocó el turno a Carranza y también se llevó las gallinas. Ahora viene Pancho Villa a liberarme y lo primero que hizo fue robarme las gallinas.
Pero un ejército necesita comida. ¿Quiere ayudarle?
¿Ayudarme? ¿Ayudarme? También va a ayudarme Carranza y todos los demás. ¿Qué diferencia hay entre uno y otro? Mis gallinas no lo saben. En el mundo entero, las revoluciones vienen y van. Los presidentes suben y caen. Todos roban tus gallinas. Lo único que cambia Es el nombre de quien se llevó la gallina.
I've come to say goodbye, Indiana.
Goodbye.
I'm going home. After seeing that newsreel, how can I stay? This is not my war. If I have to die, I'll die in my own country, defending my own home.
Well, let me come with you.
Come with me to Fumo.
No, I'm not. I'm not crazy. I guess I'm just seeing things clearly for the first time. This isn't my war either. Maybe the one in Europe is. That's a war that has to be fought. Above all, it has to be won. The alternative is, it's unthinkable.
I leave at first light. Be ready to ride.
Tomorrow? There's one thing I have to do first.
If you are not there by dawn, I go without you.
I'll be there. Trust me. Jackel, Dad.
Remember me? I'm a friend of Rashid's. Man you killed in Egypt.
missed meeting up with Remy. But I made it, and we slipped away. 2 weeks later, we took a boat out of Veracruz. I was on my way to enlist in the Great War. The war to save civilization. The war to end all wars.
Mr. Jones?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the Jackel?
The Jackel?